Hey, I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. I have no idea what this is going to be. But it's time I did something, and it's time that I try to find an outlet. so you guys are stuck with me. My name is Morag. I am 30 something. Let's just leave it at that. And I'm a late diagnosed autistic person. Yay! If I was at school today, I'd like to think that I would be jumped on by the experts that look at kids and take care of them in the classroom and things like that. But when I was at school, let's not think about how many years ago, that's not how it worked. I lacked a certain appendage in order to be considered autistic. Like a lot of women, I was precocious, taught myself to read, generally did well in school aside from maths and anything remotely involving hand-eye coordination. That's where things truly fell apart. Doesn't work. And I was always considered highly sensitive. I cry. I'm a crier. Sorry. Not sorry. As soon as my body gets stressed, I start to cry. So the signs were all there if we'd known to look at them, but we didn't know to look at them because, and this is still a thing now, lots of people don't think women can be autistic, which is just ridiculous because we exist. There are rather a lot of us, and ignorant generations of medics and specialists prior to this have failed us, which is a shame. And it's not just in this country. No, it's not just in this country. It's worldwide. I know there's lots of autistic women out of the side of the UK, in the EU, in Asia, in Australia and America, all over the world, that are autistic. Because we have a voice, and generally we stick to Twitter or things like that because people, lack of eye contact being one of the things that's kind of cool. So my diagnosis came about because I had a number of mental breakdowns, and nothing seemed to stick in terms of treatment. Nothing ever really got any better. And now I know that's not my fault. Now I know it's not the medic's fault. It's because we just weren't looking in this kind of tarped off direction that wasn't under consideration because of the age that I was and all of that. So lots of women have really got trouble getting even to diagnosis point, which is hellish in this day and age, but it is a fight for a lot of people. I kind of looked into it after the 7th mental break, in that I was with a baby shrink to quantify that or qualify that as part of their training. All doctors going through training in the UK have to do a rotation or several in a number of different directions, and one of which is psychology. Some of them are there because they have genuinely got an interest in psychology. Other people are there because they have to. It's a requirement for the field that they've chosen to go into, that they do a round of speaking to people like me. I was lucky enough to get a training called Ash. Never knew her surname. I wish I did so I could thank her, because she set me on the path to getting my diagnosis. But when Ash was ready to move on, she convinced her mentor, who'd sat in on her crits and everything, to come and take me on. And that mentor just happened to be a senior psychologist in Cait-sîth. And the first thing she did was asked me a question, and that was, well, is anyone in your family autistic? And officially no at that time. But that was because they hadn't gone through the assessment, the official assessment. But they are, for sure. I won't name names because that's not fair. And then we went through the assessment, which is, mine was RADS. I have no idea what that stands for today. I keep on forgetting. My memory is a pest. It picks up song lyrics. It picks up random factoids about different bits and bobs around the world, especially stuff to do with the job that I do. It's really frustrating. It doesn't do it. It's not self-directed in any way, shape, or form. It's irksome, to say the least. But I scored pretty highly on it. With autism, there is the label of high or low functioning autism. Now, there are some people that say because I'm talking to you, because I have a job, for now, and because I have the capability to communicate and express myself, that I would be high functioning. Now, a normal person, your average person, we call you neurotypicals. Because we're neurologically diverse. So you're neurotypicals or NTs. Or if you're a sister autie or brother autie, right on. Oops. That's the other thing I'm not good at. Coordination. Keeping that in. And editing is what I'm going to go for until I figure this thing out. So normal person scores around about 40 to 60 in that kind of ballpark. And I scored 160. Yeah. So I on the surface, I would appear to be high functioning, but there are significant things that cause me difficulty. Sensory processing disorder being a big part of it. So when I was a baby, everyone always said I was the lightest sleeper in the world because I would hear a pin drop and that would be me for the night. I'd be awake. And that's part of the hypersensitivity and sensory processing disorder. Likewise, when someone makes a dog whistle, with the fingers in their mouth, hate it. It goes right through me, like someone's actually literally taking something from Seven Samurai and jamming it through my skull. It hurts like hell. So there are things like that hurt. I overheat easy. You'll notice that I'm fogged up here. There we go. And my glass is a bit sweaty. Because I just emptied my good pal, Mr. James Dean Catfield's litter box. I overheat easy. So I don't tolerate heat all that easy. So I tend not to be out in the sunshine very much because I do overheat, or at least if I'm out in the sunshine, I really shouldn't be doing very much. And you should stop me because I'll very quickly get to the point where I am extremely sweaty, and not just extremely sweaty, but likely to throw up. Not fun. I'm also a bit funny about the clothes that I wear, the scents around me. People feel they feel like drilling kind of bugs them, or the smashing of bottles from bin emptying the recycling bins and that. Think of that, but on your worst hangover day. And that's about normal level of pain and agony that goes through my mind. It also comes with social anxiety, which sucks because I do like to be around people, but I find it very, very tiring. I can stand at the front of like a room and talk to people. That's not a problem. I'm presenting, I am in control. I am the sole output, aside from the latent background stuff that I'm trying to fold out. Throwing people asking questions or speaking over me, so like going to a restaurant or being in a meeting with lots of different voices, no structure, no with no kind of vague lead or anything on it, like one speaker at a time. I can't do that. It's very tiring, because I can't help myself. I mask. Masking is another term that you'll need to get used to if you're around an autistic person, because we do it rather well, especially females. We mask as normal because we live in a world that basically won't mask for us and won't prepare for us. And it's really difficult and challenging. So because we are often isolated, we don't fight to make the changes that would make us living in the world more easier. And frankly, it's all stuff that would make life in the outside world much more pleasant for you guys as well. You're neurotypicals. But it just doesn't happen like that. So we have very much got a game face that we put on to kind of shove back all of our stuff that makes us want to crumple. Because there's a lot of stuff that makes us want to crumple. So while outwardly a lot of us appear to be verbose, appear to be engaged and engaging, we are doing that at great cost to ourselves. We'll do that and then we'll go home and curl up and need to recover for a couple of days because we hold ourselves in a very tense way, and even sitting down, we put on voices. We have showtime versions of ourselves. And it's tiresome probably for the person because we're kind of exaggerated. It can appear over-enthused. We do not have an indoors voice often when we are masking. That's usually the way you can tell that I'm on my way to kind of going and, getting ready to be a little bit collapsed, is when I start to get loud and boisterous, which with people that know me is quite frequent occurrence. I wish I could stop masking, but so far I can't. I've done my best to try and get rid of it, but it doesn't happen. So really, what this is the long and the short of it, is me telling my autism story and explaining a little bit about what's going on and what my world is like. And that's not necessarily speaking for all autistic people. There are many autistic people that are in disagreement with one another over what we do in terms of a number of different things, and we'll discuss that in the future. I call this series Autsplaining because that's what I'm doing. I'm an autistic person and I'm explaining for you, the largely neurotypical audience, I would imagine, and for fellow auties, what my experience is, because these things can be helpful. Actually, Autsplaining, who is on Instagram, love her to pieces. She does similar videos. They're far more professional than this. And maybe I'll be a bit more professional in the future. Maybe I won't. I might just stick to a little bit of a cinema verite sort of thing. Because that made me learning something, and I'm finding that really difficult at the moment. Learning isn't going in very well because I'm going through some stuff and it's not cool. So this is the first one. And I've told you my diagnosis story. I've told you some broad stroked stuff about me and my autism and how things are going. By all means, clap back, hit me up, at moggy_mog on Twitter, protected and private at this point. I have my reasons. And hit me up in the comments here. I'm on Facebook, MoggyMog. I'm on Twitch. I think that's MoggyMog as well. But I haven't actually done any playing yet, but I do plan to. The reason this is important to me is because I think in a world where loads of people are yelling things at one another, in a world where people are falling apart for want of, or for what they perceive to be the loss of their freedoms during a global pandemic, when we're expected to be sensible, like, masking up. Even I do that, and it, screws me over quite badly, sensorily wise. And there should be as many voices out here, out in the ether as possible, I think. Just covering what's happening at this time and kind of bringing a little bit of clarity, because a lot of the time I mute, especially after experiencing trauma. So while I have a voice, I'm going to try and use it a little bit more. Because I think it's necessary. And as I'm Autsplaining, if there's ever any questions that you ever wanted to ask an autie or an autistic person or a person with autism, I identify as autistic. Others don't. That's a whole nother thing we'll get into. Trust me. It's a bit off. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you with another video going through and responding to those questions. So until that point, I shall bid you a good Saturday morning. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying sane. And I shall finish with a bit of gratitude. I have a roof over my head. I have food in my fridge. I've got clothes to wear and a bed to sleep in. I can breathe. I have a cat. He's a bit of a dick. You'll meet him another time because he will spring up at some stage. And I'm grateful for friends who I've needed more than ever, and they've been there for me. You know who you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But otherwise, here's to Autsplaining. And we'll see where we get with this and see what happens with it. And we'll just play around a little bit and we'll get to know each other, and you'll get to know a little bit more about what it's like for one of us. And thank you very much, and speak to you very soon, I hope.